Welcome to Getting Common with Professor Carliss Chatman. Getting Common covers a variety of topics and features guests from business, law, politics, government, education, and some of the most insightful entrepreneurs. It's a refreshing, common sense approach to some of the most important discussion points today. Now, here is your host, Carliss Chatman.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carliss Chatman, and I am your host of Getting Common. In my day job, I'm an associate professor at Washington and Lee University's Law School. Today's episode is a part of our entrepreneurship series, and I will be highlighting Kandace Walter of Walter Legal, a boutique law firm in Dallas, Texas. Kandace and I attended UT Law together. We were two of only 16 Black people in our class of 400. So we survived the gauntlet together. And she is also doing double duty right now as a professor at SMU Law. So I am very excited to introduce Kandace to you and to get into the world of lawyers as entrepreneurs. So let's get into the discussion. Now, Kandace, I gave a brief introduction of you and your company, but I'd love to hear how you introduce yourself and how you would give your elevator pitch.
Okay, Carliss. So when I give and thank you so much for inviting me. So when I give my elevator pitch, a lot of people don't know what intellectual property is. So I have to do a little bit of education. So I tell them that I have a boutique firm. We specialize in intellectual property. We advise clients how to proactively protect their brands and their intellectual property, which is the patents, trademarks, copyrights. And we help them with the prosecution of that. And then we also help them if they think someone's infringing it, then we try to squash that before it gets out of control. And then our clients are across the United States. Half of my clients I've never met. So I have clients that are in medical services, physical therapy, manufacturing, logistics, DEI. One of my more exciting clients, he makes adult products. So I was like, I'm so happy that I get to say these words at work and make people feel uncomfortable. But I have other clients that make food products and healthy beauty products, and I'm helping all those people. Sometimes it's patents, sometimes it's trademark, which is a slogan, a logo, or just the name of the company or the product. So I help them with all those things, just to protect it. And it's best to do it proactively before someone engages in foolishness. Then you're ready to handle it.
I didn't realize that you were doing clients all over the country and virtual. So that's very good to know. People are always asking me for IP help. And I don't think there are many people like you who have their own firm and who are doing it. So it excites me that you can do it virtually, work with clients from anywhere, and that you're going to get a ton of referrals from me and possibly from this episode.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And my office has been virtual since we opened in 2016. So I was already set up that way before the pandemic came and caused all that havoc.
Awesome. So, lawyers as entrepreneurs is not something that we think about. And it's not something that we learn in law school. No one told us how to run a law firm in law school. No one told us how to run a business in law school. It was all black letter law and whatnot. So I'd love to hear about what you did before you started your own business that helped you to lay the foundation to being able to run a law firm.
Okay, so before I started my own business, I had a variety of jobs. So I would probably change jobs every 2 to 3 years, and I was just seeking something that I wasn't finding. So I worked at the DA's office because I liked Law and Order. It's not like Law and Order, okay? I worked at the city attorney's office because I was inspired by Obama, President Obama to be a community organizer. So I did that for, maybe 3 years, but that doesn't pay very well. And I worked at a medium-sized firm, and then right before I started my office, I worked at a IP boutique firm. So all these places right now, all those places, I learned things that helped me in my office today. So I don't regret going to those jobs. And I think that they helped me find my way to where I am right now.
You have a common pattern. I find a lot of entrepreneurs either have one job and quit, or they move jobs every 2 or 3 years. And, I also had the problem before I became a professor of this isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. And so, right? No, this ain't it. This ain't working. And so I'd love to know what made you decide to take the leap to start your own firm when you had these experiences at other places that weren't so great?
Yeah. So right before I started my own firm, I was starting to question, do I even want to be an attorney? I've been at all these places. I cannot find happiness. And so then I just started my own firm because the place I was working, I was actually developing business, but my bonus was 100% discretionary. So it didn't matter that I kept bringing more and more clients in, and my bonus was like 1.5%. And I was like, why would I bring clients here, make myself have my own clients and do your work for your clients and then get like, a couple $1,000? I was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And so I talked to my friends. They're like, why do you work there? You can get your own clients. You already know what you're doing. I was like, I guess because I'm scared. It's fear. So I was like, you know what? My boss is doing it. A bunch of other fools are out there doing it. I'm going to do it too. And so that's what I did, because I was like, this is my last stop. So I'm going to have my own office. If this doesn't work out, I'm not even going to be an attorney anymore.
Wow.
So that's what happened. Yeah.
So many of us have that I'm not going to be an attorney anymore moment. And sometimes I feel like I'm not an attorney anymore since I just, but the law practice is such a grind. And, I think it's important to highlight for folks that the bonus structure and things you're talking about, what it means when a lawyer charges you and you bill hours. So, when you hire a law firm and you pay X per hour, the attorney who's doing the work does not take home all of that. They might not even take home 1/3 of that. They may be taking home just 10% of that. And the rest of it goes to the partners and the law firms and the other people and other stuff. The money just kind of disappears.
Yes, it does. It disappears into an abyss that is not connected to my account. Yeah.
And now you have your own firm, so the money goes into your account.
And yes, and that really changes. Yeah, it changes everything, because when I was working for someone else, if I had to work at night and on the weekends, I was bitter and angry. Like, why? And now sometimes I can't sleep because I'm like, I have to do this. I got to get this for this client. And I feel a little stressed, but I don't have that bitterness because I'm doing it and I'm going to reap the awards, the rewards from it. So it's a whole different mindset when you're the owner. And your sweat and tears benefit yourself instead of the person you work for has a new mansion and matching Mercedes SUVs with his wife and all this kind of stuff. And everyone in the office gets iPads. And I was so upset. I was like, those iPads, that's my bonus. Give me those iPads.
Now, you mentioned the fear. And I think as attorneys, we're taught to question all the time, and we're taught to have self-doubt all the time. How did you develop the confidence to know that you could represent clients on your own and you didn't need the safety net of another law firm or of partners?
Well, part of it was at the office that I was working at, I had a lot of responsibility. So I was running the cases myself. It's just under someone else's shingle. So I had that confidence right there. And then also, before I ever started my office, when I was feeling disgruntled, I met with probably a dozen other attorneys who started their office. Some of them thrived, some of them failed. And I just asked them, like, what happened? What went wrong? What went right? What tips do you have? What do you think, wish you knew? And so I made notes in this little notebook. And so whenever I would start thinking, I can't do it, I would look at that and remember what these people told me. And I was like, I can do it, because these people are regular people. I'm a regular person. They did it. I'll figure it out. And then I have a huge network of people. So when I have a question, I have somebody to ask, like, please help me. This is the problem I'm having. And so most people are pretty happy to help other people, because everybody remembers what it's like being unhappy, working for somebody else. So like, I'm going to help you so you can thrive and, have a happy life and a prosperous office.
So, there is a big knowledge gap for us as lawyers because we don't learn the business side. And so I would love for you to talk about, how you bridge those knowledge gaps and what kind of things did you have to learn, or that you just did not know about when you started the law firm?
Yeah, I think that people underestimate how much time you have to spend running the business. Like you mentioned before, you don't learn how to run a business in law school or whatever different grad school program you're in or undergrad. You have no idea how to run a business. So you don't know about quarterly taxes. You don't know about the trust account. There's all these people trying to take your money from marketing. Is it going to have any return? So there's a lot of trial and error. And so for me, what was really important was to talk to other people that had already traveled the path and to try and learn from their lessons. So I really did take a bit from all those different people that I talked to, and then try it out with my office. It didn't work, pivot to something else. So it was kind of experimental, I guess, trial and error. But now I'm doing okay. It was rocky in the beginning, but now everything's good.
Well, and let's talk a little bit more about the beginning. Most businesses fail within the first year, and this includes law firms. What was your make or break moment when you said all of this sacrifice is worth it, all of this risk taking is worth it, and I can keep doing this and I can thrive and be successful?
Well, I would say the make or break moment for me is I was so busy working, nights, weekends, everything. I was like, I'm middle-aged now. I cannot sustain this. I'm so tired. But I was like, you know what? I actually have money now. I can hire people. And I've always heard people say you can't make money unless you delegate, and you have to have a team. And so before, when you first start your business, you don't want to do that because you're like, can I pay these people? I don't want to hire them. And then they're like, I have to let you go, I can't pay. And so that really does make a difference so now, like if I leave my office, there's someone to answer the phone, someone to send the engagement letters, send the payment request to the client, or look something up in their file and tell them the answer. So I can not be here and the office will keep running. The clients will get the care and attention they need. And so that, I think, is what makes a huge difference. If your office can run without you, and you have to have systems. And so these are all things I've learned from other attorneys. And also sometimes Facebook is the devil, but there are some wonderful Facebook groups of lawyers who have virtual offices. Some people work on the beach or whatever they're doing. They have great resources to help you navigate all this. And you can say, this is the problem I'm having. And all these people will say, this is what we did when that happened to us. So it's like a little community. So you're on an island by yourself, but you're not. You have people to help you.
How did you, at what point did you realize that now is the time to hire people? And if you could start over again, would you have hired them from the outset, or would you still have waited to the point that you waited?
I waited way too long to hire people. So my office has been open since 2016. I didn't start hiring people until I was forced to when I had a baby. And so I hired a business coach, and I was drowning, and I was like, I'm drowning. And I have this baby like on me. And so I hired a business coach, and just me saying out loud all the things that I was doing, she was like, you needed to hire somebody a long time ago. But just to give you an example, I was like scheduling, I wasn't answering the phone. I had an answering service, but I'm scheduling people on my calendar, these stupid back and forth emails. I'm, sending them engagement letters, doing the consultation, all this back end stuff that any person could do. I was doing that. And then I still had to do the work on the case, and so it's too much. And then I'm still talking to people and marketing and giving presentations. I'm just one person. And so it was crazy. So just me trying to tell my business coach all the things that I was doing, she said, that's foolishness. You are past the point where you need to hire somebody. And it really did decrease my stress levels. And it also made me develop systems. So all this stuff is in my head. And so they can't do it if it's in my head. So I started making a manual handbook about all the stuff I was doing. And so now I had a VA, she worked out for 1.5 years, then she didn't, so let her go. So the new VA comes, the handbook is already ready. Read this is what you need to do, hop to it. So that's really helps.
Wow. I have problems delegating, so I'm like absorbing.
Yes, it is very hard to delegate, and sometimes they mess up. And so when that happens, I have to look at myself and say, what did I tell them to do? Why is it not clear? Before I don't, that's something I learned from other people I've worked with. I like to take responsibility if I'm the one who messed it up. I'm not always blaming other people. What did I do to cause this situation? And how can I fix it? So not obviously, but sometimes something I said was unclear. And that happens to me with my sister, because I tell her to do stuff and then she does. I'm like, that is not what I meant.
And she's your sister.
Yes, and she's my sister. So yes, we've been working together for, I don't know, I feel like 6 months. I have no idea, but she's helping me a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, there are lots of law students listening to this. There are lots of people who may want to go to law school and are planning to go to law school because they think they eventually want to start a law firm. Are there things that you think they could do in law school or that they could be doing now to prepare them for being entrepreneurs?
Okay, so in law school, I think besides the classes, the most important thing that happened to me in law school, besides getting the knowledge, was the network. So when you're in law school, even though you feel so busy and stressed out, you have to take advantage of all the resources that are there. So when I was in law school, I didn't do a clinic. That would have helped me with my, client engagement and, just real world, projects. I didn't do mock trial or moot court. So do like the clinic, the mock trial, do a journal. If you have questions in the class, go talk to your professor. When your section has the happy hours and all these little parties, go to that and meet those people and bond with them. So since I've left law school, some of the people that I talked to when I was starting my firm, those are people I met at UT. They continue to help me right now. And then I get referrals from so many people that I know at UT. And that's also a great thing about social media, is connecting with people that you physically would not have seen for 15 or 20 years. So I'm getting referrals from all kinds of people that I met, through my time at UT, all the different little things I was doing, all the places I ever worked. So I think part of the law school journey is networking, not just the education part, but networking with those people. And then like with LinkedIn, I have never found a job on LinkedIn, but other people have. And so whenever I'm talking to law students and they tell me where they want to work, what they're trying to do, I tell them, go on LinkedIn and find somebody that went to the same school as you and reach out to them and find out if they have time to talk to you, give you some advice. So networking, that's the point of everything I'm saying, is networking is so important, and having a network of people to rely on and be the resource for you.
I think that is one of our biggest failures in law school, and business school gets this right. I am frequently telling my students, like, it's awesome that y'all are so serious. It is awesome that you have written this paper and that you have this A and that you're going to do a federal clerkship and all these amazing, these things are amazing. But I truly, truly believe the biggest thing I got out of the University of Texas was the sheer number of people we could meet. It's the fact that there were 1,200 students in our law school.
Yes.
And that's 1,200 possible people who you could network with, or who, if you connect with them on LinkedIn, or even if you didn't meet them, it's like they see UT Law. They see,
hey, Longhorn.
Right. Put on your burnt orange and make it work. Yeah.
Yes, that's so important. And another thing that I tell my own students and other people in law school is that most of them have a job already, but what do you have outside of that job? What are you going to do if you go there and you hate those people, you hate that work? What are you going to do? How are you going to find your next opportunity? That's why your network is important. You don't know what's going to happen with this, the eggs you have in your basket right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm telling them. You have to network with these people. And so I have speakers come into my class. One lady was telling us she got laid off. She told the people in her class, one of them said, my husband's company needs an attorney. Send your resume. And that's how she started on her in-house journey. So those kind of things don't happen if you don't know your classmates.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yes. And then for entrepreneurs like me, for instance, I have my own business. If I never, connect with all these people and then say, I have my own business, this is what I'm doing, they won't send me referrals.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about how your firm is structured. I noticed you're a PLLC.
Yes.
And are you the only attorney working, or do you also have attorneys you're supervising?
So I am the owner, the main attorney. I have contract attorneys. So I'm in a transitional phase right now where I have enough work to give to the contract attorneys, but I do not have enough work for them to work here as an employee. So they're contract attorneys. So they're doing their own thing. And then when I have extra work, I call them in and they do that work. So eventually I hope to, fold them in.
So how do you hire your contract attorneys?
Well, this is back again to my network. So one of them is my friend from high school, and she went to law school, and we reconnected once we were back in Dallas. And then another one is my friend from law school also. So, and then my other contract attorney, she went back into a firm, but last year, she was helping me. She's someone that I actually did not know her in law school because she was 10 years after me, but the law school connected me to her because she had her own firm and she was in Dallas. And so they were like, since you have your firm and you figured it out, can you please mentor her? So I did, and I hired her as my contract attorney.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, the networking is, we have a great network from UT.
Awesome. No, I had no idea that the school would do that. It was like
they did. They haven't called me in a long time, so I think I fell off the list, but that's okay.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I think, the reason I ask how is, I have so many law students who want to do intellectual property work, but have a hard time getting the kind of work they want at a big law firm. The kind of work that they want is what you're doing. They want to represent small businesses. They don't want to go to the USPTO. They want to, help small businesses do mom and pop stuff. Like, they want to feel what they're doing. They don't want to factory farm through intellectual property work. And so it's good to know that you can simply network and make your living being a contract attorney, even if you don't want to hang a shingle.
Yes, you can. I think that's a great way to learn and then to get a taste of it before you jump all the way in.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, we have talked about you also teaching part-time at SMU. And you also are a parent of a young child, right?
Yes.
So let's start with teaching at SMU while running your own law firm. How on earth do you balance a law firm with the responsibility of also teaching a class?
Well, it's my village that helps me. So when I first started teaching, my mom was my grandma nanny. And so she would be here with my child. So it wasn't a big deal for me to go down there and do what I had to do. I didn't have any worries. And now she's not doing my child's in daycare, but basically I have to be super duper organized. So my class is on Tuesdays. We have class. I have meetings with all my students after that. I'm reviewing the documents they prepared, the emails and all that. So I kind of dedicate Tuesday to that. And then I give them about an hour a day throughout the week. And whatever I don't get has to get covered on the weekend. But I also do have another attorney that's working in the clinic with me. So I have to be very, very organized and delegate. So again, like if I were running my office and there were no virtual assistant or paralegal, or my sister, who's the office manager, marketing manager, weren't here, I couldn't do it. So these team of people, they help me. So you have to delegate if you want to grow, because you just have two hands. And we were talking before we came on here is that we're getting older. You can't stay up all night. You have to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. So, and like for me, I only have from 9 to 5. That is when my daughter's at daycare. So anything that doesn't happen from 9 to 5 will have to get done tomorrow. So I have no time to waste. And it really tickles me about how much time I used to waste before I was this busy with my office, before I had a child. Like I would watch, this is kind of embarrassing, but I would watch Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right before I did any work. And so now that's how I gauge how busy I am. I'm like, I haven't seen my game shows in like 3 months. I don't have time. I have work to do.
It is wasting time. We were having a pre-show conversation about how foolish we were in our 20s. And I think that in my mind, when I was in my 20s, I was working as much as I do now, or as intensely as I do now. When the truth is, I was just wasting a lot of time. I didn't have systems in place. I wasn't watching Price is Right, but I was like taking 2 and 3 hour lunches randomly. We used to have all these like crazy parties, and it's like, yes, it was fun. But in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm not getting my work done. And it was my lack of efficiency in the workplace. Like I just wasted a lot of time in the office.
Yes, I was. Yeah. And like when I was working in an office with other people, I wasn't watching The Price is Right, but we were talking in the hallway, or like you said, going to lunch for 2.5 hours, or chit-chatting with somebody in the kitchen while we're drinking our coffee in the morning. I was just wasting time all the time. And now I really have no time to waste. So I really am working from 9 to 5. I am working. And it tickles me because sometimes some of my clients, they think they can just call me without being on the calendar. I'm like, hey, my life doesn't work that way. If you're not on this calendar, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I have to get these things done before 5 o'clock.
Awesome. And so you talked about childcare and your mom being a nanny. or your grandma nanny. Are things better, you think, as a parent having your own law firm?
Yes, I think so, because now that I think it's just so, I think because of the pandemic and so many people are working from home, if you are working from home, then you have some of the same benefits that, someone has when they own their office, because you don't have to waste time getting dressed and going, driving to your office and the traffic and all that stuff. But for me, because I own my own office, I set my hours, I decide what cases I'm taking, I can, like when I was at a firm, I had no control over those things. And my boss basically is just telling me what I'm going to do. And so now I'm the one deciding those things. So if the daycare calls me and says, your child is sick, okay, I can just run out and go take, and not work the rest of the day and tell the people, hey, I'm out, my kid is sick. And the doctor says, can you come here at 3:00? Sure, we'll be there at 3:00. I don't have to, do all these things with all these other people because I don't own the office. And so I think it's great. And so when she has a little dance recital and when she plays soccer, whatever it is that she does, I can do there. So I can be there. So I can do my work before and after it or on the weekend. I have that control. And so I think that's really great. And I remember when I was at the DA's office, some of the defense attorneys would take off the month of December. And I was like, that is amazing. So you said you don't work in the whole month of December. So I've never had any job where I had a month off. So I'm not at the point yet where I'm taking off the month of December, but that's what I hope to do. So my goal is to not work in maybe the whole month, maybe 3 weeks of December, and take off a month in the summer. That's what I'm working towards. So that's why I'm hustling right now, so that we can make the money we need to make in the 10 months and then have those 2 months off. That's what my goal is. I'm speaking that into existence.
I want that for you. I want that for me.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I need. I need like 2 months off a year. Okay.
That is like, that would be glorious. Cause I think we all say we have time off, but like, are you really off? And it's to get the true, like, nothing's on the docket, no meetings on the calendar.
Yes.
Clean calendar for 2 months a year.
That's what I'm trying to do. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but that is what I'm claiming for my future.
No, I'm going to claim it for you in like 2 or 3 years. Like, I think
that's what I'm hoping. That's what I want to do.
Now, I would love to take some time, because you are an intellectual property attorney. And
yes.
Everyone is always asking IP questions, and there is so much bad IP advice on the Twitters and the TikToks and the Instagrams. And so I would love for you, just as an IP attorney who represents businesses every day, to kind of run through, like, what are the biggest mistakes you see people making about their IP? And like, what suggestions and tips you have for people on intellectual property?
Okay, so one huge mistake that people make is that sometimes people think that the universe or God or whoever wants them to have this name, and they get obsessed with it and they think they have to have it. And so once you engage with an attorney, they're going to do a search, and they're going to tell you someone else already has this very same name, or you changing the I to a Y or whatever you did, it still sounds the same. You're going to be rejected. We need to pivot and move away from this name. And so that's what people need to think about, is who is using the name? What are they doing with it? Have they protected it? And then how much money am I going to spend if I have to fight with these people and I'm going to lose? So the other thing you could do is pick a new name that other people aren't already using, and then you won't have all that drama. And I actually had a client, and also you need to talk to the attorney in the beginning. So I've had a client who picked a name, invested $30,000, wrapping up, his van, the door knockers, all this stuff. And then he gets a letter from somebody like, you can't use that name. And so he hired me, and I told him, you really cannot use this name. These people have had this for 30 years. You're not going to win. So you've already lost the 30 over there. We can spend 10 to fight with them, and then you're going to lose and have to change the name anyway. So if he would have talked to me on the front side, I would have told him, don't do that. Just, pivot and pick another name. And so that's what people need to do, is talk to your attorney on the front side to find out, what is my intellectual property? Am I going to be able to use this name and then grow with it, or do I need to change my name? And then also make sure that you have the ownership lined up. Like with the logo, if someone else drew it, have they assigned the rights to you, to your company? And that's very important before you apply for a trademark. Do you even own that thing? And so people assume that they own things because, you paid someone to make it for you. That doesn't mean you own it. They need to assign it to you in writing, like assign you the right title and interest to it. So that's something else that happens to people. And sometimes the names they have are just descriptive. And so I'm like, hey, this is probably going to get rejected. They don't care. They want to do it anyway. So basically the advice is talk to an attorney, listen to their advice. But another suggestion I have is talk to multiple attorneys, and find out who do you vibe with, okay? So if you and your attorney have personalities that don't mesh, you don't have to use that person. You can use someone else. And so me, for instance, I do not coddle people. So if you want to be coddled, I'm not going to coddle you. You probably need to find someone else. I'm just kind of straightforward. I'm just going to tell you like it is. And so you need to find someone that you can mesh with, and also that's responsive, because I have other clients that tell me I had an attorney, they won't ever call me back. They won't respond to my emails. Okay. So you need to be comfortable with their communication policies, their office policies, the people in there, the staff, all those things. Because when you're paying somebody money, you need to be happy with the service. So hopefully that answers your question, but yes. I know. So I'm saying consult with the attorney, listen to the attorney, and make sure you're a good fit with your attorney.
I'd like to go back to the name thing because,
Yes.
We have an entrepreneurship program at WNL, and so many of them think that if they go on GoDaddy or whatever, and they can register the website, that means they can have the name. So
my gosh, yeah,
yeah. So when you and I are talking about names and making sure you can use the name, like what can they do as lay people to check? Or okay, to look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that happens in my office too. So if you have, you can get the name for the entity, or you can have the domain. That does not mean that you have rights to the trademark. So you can go on the USPTO website and they have a search function, TESS, Trademark Electronic Search System. And that's where you can do a search with those names. But the problem is when you're a layperson, if you just type the literal words, that may not come up with a match. That's probably not going to return if somebody has changed one of the letters. So it's not just, are these words an exact match? It's how does it look and how does it sound? So people could have changed up the letters. So you kind of have to search by the root words. And then there's more advanced searches where you can search the root of the word and then add a class to it. So there's 45 different classes. And so just as an example with Apple, let's say that I had a daycare, I want to call it Apple Daycare. It's going to be hard for Apple, the phone tech giant, to stop me because I'm just assuming they don't have a daycare. We're pretending they don't have a daycare. They can't stop me. But if my product has anything to do with phone, music, any of that stuff they do, I cannot call it Apple. And so that's what people don't understand. They think they have a trademark and that they get to box everybody out for everything. You don't. And then like what you're saying, they think if they have the domain name or they named their LLC with this name, they have trademark rights. That is not going to help you if someone else already had the trademark, however long they had it before you. That's not going to help you. So you can do some searching on the USPTO website yourself, but you really need to engage with an attorney. And if you can't afford an attorney, then you have to find some low bono resources or pro bono. And that's where the law clinics come in. So the law clinics, they have law students that will do this for you, and they're supervised by experienced attorneys. So I would say try to look it up yourself. If you don't have money to engage an attorney, go for a law clinic. And then like with patents, the USPTO does have a patent pro bono program. So there are resources for people that don't have the funds to do this, but you definitely have to do it because it can cost you more money if you don't handle it on the front side.
I appreciate this advice and the fact that the USPTO website isn't searchable the way that you think. Because I've had so many people come to me and say, I put in my exact same name and nothing came up. And it's like, no, that's, and I don't do intellectual property. I just know enough to know that I don't know what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. It's not easy for regular people to navigate it. So they have a basic search, but they have an advanced search where you can, do like the base of the word and add the class and all these different things.
And I would like to say one more thing about what I just said about, I don't know enough, but I know to call Kandace. I think that's my number one complaint about lawyers that have their own firms, or about when you're trying to retain a lawyer. I am always wary of a lawyer who says they know everything.
No.
Nobody knows everything. I say I don't know more now. I don't want to say how many years we've been out of law school, but it's like, this many years out of law school, I say I don't know more now than I definitely did in the first 5 years, because I've become acutely aware of how little of the law I actually know.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why I have my contract attorneys, because I'm like, I have a surface level knowledge of this, but this is something my client needs, but this person has, the 10, 20 years experience. So let's bring them in
right,
to work on this with us.
Right. But definitely be careful of that lawyer who's like, yes, I can do your bankruptcy and your trademark, and I can form your LLC, and I can litigate your contract dispute. Like, maybe they can if it's like minor enough, but if it's something complicated, they probably can't. I would never touch a trademark or an intellectual property matter. I would never touch it.
Yeah. And that, now that you're saying that, a lot of clients that IP attorneys get, they either tried to do it themselves and they messed it up, or they had a friend who's an attorney who said, oh, I can do that for you, and they messed it up. So just keep that in mind. You might think you're saving money because you're not paying the attorney, but you're going to have to pay the attorney to fix it in the long run.
Now the other kind of,
if they can even fix it.
If it can be fixed,
yeah.
Right? Now the other intellectual property question that I have is, what's the difference between when copyright just works, or you need trademark?
Okay. So one thing, now that you've mentioned copyright, is that everyone loves to talk about their poor man's copyright, where they send something to themselves and now they have a copyright. No, you do not. What you've done is mailed something to yourself. And so copyright, you have those rights when it's an original work of authorship and it's fixed. And that's how you have those rights. It doesn't matter if you mailed it to yourself. That maybe will prove the day you created it, but that doesn't matter, because if someone else has their own original creation and it's the same as yours and they can prove they didn't copy you, they're entitled to a copyright too. So that's really not helping you. So I do talk to, and that's why I just tell people, if someone says patent, trademark, copyright, just tell them to call me, because people get confused about these things. So copyright, let's say that you have a painting, you have some code for a video game, you wrote a play, you're a choreographer, somebody's playing the music, all those different things are works of art for a copyright. And that's just protecting that work. And it does not matter if you have a business or you're engaged in interstate commerce. And that's what the trademark is. The trademark is the name of your business, your product, your slogan, your logo, but it has to be connected to the service or the goods you provide in interstate commerce. And so the copyright has nothing to do with commerce. You can have a copyright on something and you don't ever sell it or do anything. But with the trademark, you have to use it in commerce or you can't get a copyright or a trademark for it. And so that's kind of the difference. These are protecting different pieces of the intellectual property.
I have a client, or one of our clients in the program, who registered a trademark and then got this letter in the mail from the USPTO that said, if you don't prove to us that you're using it in commerce, it lapses. So they did it themselves, spent all the money, spent all the time, got it approved, got the letter that they needed to prove they were using it in commerce. They didn't respond to it. And it was like, you lost your trademark and you have to start over.
Yes.
Yes. So I bring that up to say, at what point should someone apply for a trademark? Should you apply for the trademark as soon as you get the idea to start the business? Or should you wait until you've got some proof of concept that it's actually going to be a business?
I think it really depends about your money, but the best thing is to apply when you have this idea and you're positive that's the name you're going to use. But if you're a huge business with a lot of resources, those people will apply for 20, 30, 40, 50 names that they might use. But if you are a regular person, you can't do that, because the filing fee is $250 for each of those plus your attorney's fees. So you have to be pretty sure you're going to move forward with this. And so with the federal trademark applications, you can apply saying that I'm using it now, or I plan to use it in the future. And from your example, it sounds like that person did a 1B application, which is intent to use. And then once it gets approved, you have to prove you use within 6 months. If you don't do that, you have to file an extension to get 6 more months until you start using it. So if you don't respond or you don't file the extension, then you're gonna lose it. So that sounds like that person did a 1B application. And that's what happens to a lot of people when they do it themselves. Do they mean to do 1B, or are they actually using it in commerce now? And they should have sent the specimen of use and the first use dates, which means when did you first use it in interstate commerce, with their original application. And that's why you should talk to an attorney. They can help you navigate that. And so I don't know how much money the person saves by doing it themselves, but now the money is lost because they lost it anyway. So to answer your question, whenever you have this idea and you're pretty sure you're going to move forward, that's when you should protect it with the trademark. And it also is going to put other people on notice. When those people do a search in USPTO database, they'll say, oh, look, these people are planning to do this and that. It might scare them off if they don't have an attorney.
Now, we keep saying interstate commerce, and that means a lot to us as lawyers, but it meant nothing to me before I went to law school. So I assume it means nothing to other people. Like, what counts as interstate commerce for purposes of trademarks?
Okay, there's a lot of things that count as interstate commerce. So the simplest thing is that, let's say that your service is educational services. You have a YouTube channel, you're in your home studio and wherever you're putting this content out, and then your people who are receiving it are spread across the United States because they're watching your YouTube channel. That's interstate commerce because you're putting the service out and then people outside of your state are consuming it. But sometimes, if, let's say you're making products, you might be ordering different pieces of these products from out of state. They come to you, you assemble it, and then you send it to whoever orders it. Or you might have a website and people come and place the order and then it gets shipped to them. Whatever you're doing, there has to be some interstate commerce, which is between states. So if your business is totally local, like you have no internet presence, maybe like just, this is very silly, but let's say that I'm pulling leaves off my tree and like putting some paint on them and selling them to people. The paint came from, around here, the leaf is from my yard. I'm pretty local. Okay. I'm probably not gonna be able to get a federal trademark for that. So the interstate commerce is between states. Somehow you have to be involved in that.
And so it counts if your inputs are from out of state though, right? So like, let's say you have a food truck that's just parked in downtown Dallas at lunchtime. That can count as interstate commerce if you're ordering your stuff from Cisco for your food truck.
Yes. So those foodstuffs are coming on the Cisco truck from wherever. But even if they weren't, let's say that you have that food truck in Dallas, if you can prove that people from out of town are coming there to get your food, to eat it, and then going back wherever they came from, that's interstate commerce too.
Okay. I didn't realiise that. Yeah. Because I interact with a lot of people who are like, oh, I just have a restaurant. I don't need a trademark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do. And then another thing that I tell people when they think they don't need a trademark, I ask them, if someone else uses this name and gets involved in a scandal, what's the blowback going to be for you? And that's why the trademark matters, is to protect your brand from these outside people. And then also, so your customers come, they know this is the quality I get with that. And so one of my clients has a business, and someone else in another state has a very similar name as my client. And those people take people's money and don't send the products. So people go on the internet and write bad reviews. And so he has to keep saying, that is not us. We are in, Dallas. Those people that you're mad at are in Florida.
Wow.
Okay. That is not us.
Wow.
And so that's what can happen when you don't have a trademark. If you don't, and the federal trademark, you get to enforce that across the United States. So that's why you have to engage in interstate commerce to be entitled to it. But you can tell people across the United States, hey, stop. This, I've claimed this name. And then also I told you there's 45 classes. You've claimed it in whatever classes you claimed. So you can't tell people not to use the name if their products aren't related to yours. That's a whole nother thing. It's people that have similar products or in the same trade channels.
All right. So let's get back to your business, because I should give you opportunities to shamelessly plug yourself. How can me and my listeners support you in your business? Like, what do you need from us? How can we help Kandace Legal grow? How can we make sure that Kandace gets to take off a month during the summer and a month in December?
So the best way to support my business is through referrals. So whenever you hear anyone say those keywords, patent, trademark, copyright, oh my gosh, I know somebody in Dallas, she can help you. And so those things, referrals, and then following the social media, sharing the posts, those kind of things, helping with the engagement. But referrals are the number one thing. And so my business, I'm not going to say all my clients, let's say 95% of my clients, they're referrals. So they're referrals from other attorneys, friends, family, satisfied clients. Almost that's how my business thrives, is from referrals and giving people good service, and then they come back and they send their friends. So so now that you guys have been on this podcast with us, we're friends now, so you just go ahead and send me your referrals.
And what is your website? What's your website?
My website is walterlegal.com. And so my sister marketing manager, I hope that it can drop in the next week or so, but I have a very new updated website because she told me it was dated. So this website right now is not my new website. So just beware. So that is I have a new website coming.
So look at it now and then look at it in like a month.
I hope a week. She should be listening to this. And so I hope she feels pressured it's really me. I'm the reason that it's not up.
And this goes back to your management style and your ability to delegate.
Yes.
And to acknowledge when you are wrong, which I don't have that yet. I gotta pray on that one.
Because I need these people to help me. So I remember how it feels to work for somebody that never accepts responsibility. And so that's why I'll fall on the sword if I have to. So these people can know that she respects me, she appreciates me, she's not blaming me for stuff that's her fault. And also I have to remove, if I'm the reason that things aren't happening, I have to recognize that and take care of it.
Wow. I am not that evolved yet. Like, I really am not. And I need to get on your level. I am feeling red by how you are living your life. Because I'm bad at delegating, and then I'm bad at like admitting when I'm the one who's the reason it doesn't go well. And so clearly those two things are why I cannot delegate well. And I need to work on it. Now, I think
you're doing fantastic though.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Sometimes it's in shambles and it's smoke and mirrors, but it looks good in the end.
Yeah, it does. Like, wow, she's amazing.
Yeah, not so much. Now, this next question is hard. It's more of a philosophical question. What's your why? Why do you do what you do? What motivates you to do intellectual property? What motivates you to keep practicing law? What is your why?
Well, my why am I doing intellectual property? It's one, because people don't know what they don't know. And so people don't even know what it is. They're not protecting it. They're getting taken advantage of. And so I just want to empower people to recognize that you actually have something of value and you need to protect it before someone else, ruins what you're trying to do. So that's the intellectual property side. And then, like, as far as my office, the clinic, why am I doing that? I just love to help people. And that's the whole reason I went to law school, is I want to help people. I want to make the world a better place. I want to help other people thrive and be happy. I wish everyone could have a happy, safe life. And so the why is quality of life. That's the reason why I'm still an attorney, the reason why I'm running my office. I want to spend my time with friends, family, have experiences, all that stuff. And I think that entrepreneurship allows you to do that because you have more control over your time, your schedule, your work. And so you might end up working more than 40 hours, but I feel fulfilled. And so I don't have bitterness like I had when I was working for someone else, like, how dare you call me after 7 o'clock? And so it just has improved my mindset. And I'm a happy person anyway. And I'm talking to my therapist about this now, because even if I'm not happy, I'm like, I am so mad at you. I'm one of those people. So besides that, I really do internally feel happier and I feel less stressed out. And I feel like my mind is a little bit clearer and I can make contributions to the world, whatever that is. And so I think all that comes from having some satisfaction from owning my business, touching people's lives, helping them with their business, helping them thrive.
It's funny that you say you're always happy no matter what, because like the one thing I remember about you from law school is Kandace is always happy. Like Kandace was always the bright spot. So the idea that like you could ever possibly be bitter is almost strange to me, because I'm like, what do you mean? Kandace is the happy one.
Yeah, I know. I do appear to always be happy, but I actually sometimes am not happy.
Well, because you're a person.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yes. But that's what my therapist was saying. She's like, you're saying all these things, but you're still smiling. I was like, I know. I don't know why. Something I do. But I do really feel a lot less stressed out than I did in the beginning of my career.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so, so important. Now let's look forward. What's next? You've got the law firm, you've got the class, you've got the baby. What is next for Kandace?
Well, right now I'm in a growth phase. So whenever I feel tired, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to do this for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years to reach my goal so I can have the systems and the people in place so that, I can improve my quality of life, take off my 2 months for my, European or Caribbean vacation or whatever it is that I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm in a hustle phase. I'm in a hustle, growing, delegating, developing systems phase right now, building out the team so that I can kind of step back a little bit in the future. And then as far as, I think, So one thing that also, because of all the crazy things going on in the world, I feel like I have like these talents and skills and I am helping people, but can I be helping more people if I had a bigger platform? So I did think about running for office last year, but then I decided not to because I decided my office was not in a place to run without me and also had a little baby. So in the next few years, I'm going to decide if I really am going to run for something and try to change the world, change my corner of the world. So that's what I think is in the future. A few years from now, I'm going to run for something. And if I don't run for something, then I'm going to support a candidate who matches my beliefs.
Well, what office would you run for?
Well, Carliss, there's so many things. That's why I haven't decided. So I've thought about running for city council, for mayor, for commissioner, just all kinds of things. So that's why I want to see where would my knowledge and skills help the most people.
Yeah. Now, having someone like you run for office would be amazing. Well, because like you actually know what you're doing. Thanks. And you're so positive. And like, to me, you're always fair. I can't think of a time when like you were unfair to people. So like, it would be great if more people like you would run for office, but it's like, how do you afford it? And how do you?
Exactly. That's what I said. When some of the things I've looked up and I've seen all the meetings and all that, and I'm like, whoa. I'm not independently wealthy. So I actually cannot afford to do that. So that's kind of why I decided this is a building phase right now. And if I can get to a space where the office can run without me and I can, touch it 2 days a week and keep, do whatever, I think I could do it then.
Yeah. Would you ever consider merging with another law firm? No.
I don't know. It really will have to be a very special person. I really don't like to share my money, even though I'm delegating. I don't know about sharing the decision-making power because I've seen a lot of people partner up and then blow up, and they have to have their business divorce and they're bitter. And I better not see him on the street. Okay. So I don't know. So no, probably not. Right now, I'm not thinking that, but it depends. So maybe like one day when I'm off running my political career, I might decide to partner up with somebody.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious because I find a lot of my friends who are independent, especially independent lawyers, they either bring on someone junior as an associate and make them a partner, but it's so rare for them to decide to just like, oh, I'm going to merge with that IP boutique and then we'll both just be Yeah.
No, I would share expenses or share an office, but I would not merge. And so something I found out when I was talking to all those people and some of the firms thrived and failed and all that stuff, everyone is not carrying their own weight, And so we would have to have some serious discussions about how we're splitting profits here, because if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I don't think you should get some money this month.
I feel you. I don't like to share either. And it's hard being the oldest because I often say like, no one asked me if I wanted to share.
Yes, I don't want to share. I don't want to. And it just right now I'm doing fine by myself. So there's not a benefit to me it seems like more headaches. And also I choose not to do litigation. So if I were doing litigation cases, I would need to have more people helping me. And, that would be a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So my last question to close out, what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs?
So the main thing I want you to think about is don't become paralyzed by fear. So if you are fearful of starting your business, what is the source of your fear, and what information can you get to quash that fear? So for attorneys, like I guess new attorneys, law students, if you're thinking about going off on your own, I always tell these people, the best thing to me is for you to work somewhere else, practice on their cases, get a steady paycheck, and then go off on your own. Because I know the stress that I felt in 2016 of trying to run an office, but I don't know what I'm doing. But at least I did know how to do the trademark, copyright, patents, review the contracts. I knew my legal skill, and then I had the stress of running my office. So the stress of not knowing what you're doing with your work, plus trying to run an office and maybe managing people, I think it's too much. So I think you should gain the skill and then go off and be your own person or your own office. And I think that translates, even if your business is a flower shop or a restaurant or whatever it is you want to do, find out how this business works before you just jump into it, and your livelihood and your mortgage and your student loans and all those things are at stake. So yeah, just prepare yourself, arm yourself with the knowledge, talk to people that have already done it, talk to people that were successful, people that failed, and just absorb all that knowledge, because because of the internet and the Google and the YouTube and all that, there's so many resources out there. So you don't have to go into it blind.
Right.
So educate yourself and don't be paralyzed by fear. And the worst thing that can happen is you fail. So what? Pick yourself up, do something else. And I always tell people that if you have to, go work at Starbucks or Target. They have good benefits. A lot of people do that. They might have a regular day job, until their business starts to thrive. That's okay. If your business fails, you have to work a regular job for 6 months and then try something else.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fall on your face.
Right. I always say, don't be afraid to go fold pants at the Gap. Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, like, you might have to go be a barista, fold some pants at the Gap, dust yourself off, and do it again. But I truly appreciate the advice for law students in particular, because I think it's generational. I think we were more afraid than current students are. And I'm always like, you need 5 years of knowledge. I really think for me, I think the magic spot's 5 years of practice.
Yes.
Because I didn't realize how much of an idiot I was when I graduated until I was about 5 years out.
Yeah, I think 5 years is a good number, but some of them, they can't wait 5 years. So I'm saying, if you can't do 5 years, then do just 2 to 3 years. Please don't do it when you first graduate.
Yes.
To me, it's like you're just waiting to get sued for malpractice.
Yes. There is a thing called malpractice.
Yes. And get malpractice insurance.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kandace. And thank you all for tuning in to Get in Common. If you ever miss an episode, you can catch the rebroadcast anywhere podcasts are streamed, on Voice America's website and on our YouTube channel. You can send me messages through the show page, and I am at Carliss C on all social media. And you can find Kandace at CandaceLegal.com, with a new website launching in a week if we have properly tortured her sister into doing it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, nicely done.